American people actually asking for a sledgehammer to the federal government. I mean, trust in government was low, dissatisfaction with the government was low, dissatisfaction with the previous administration was low, and dissatisfaction was high with politicians who for years have said, I'm going to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, and never seem to do it. So I like Representative Maliatokas, but with all due respect, I don't think the voters are wanting a scalpel. I do think they're wanting larger implements.
Welcome, everyone. I'm excited for today's video where we'll dive into the recent controversies involving unelected officials and Elon Musk, along with several other trending topics. Before we dive in, please take a moment to like this video. It's the best way to support our channel, and it helps others discover our content as well. Now let's get started.
All right, can I ask a question? Did Joe Biden have staff at the White House? And how many of those staff members were elected?
Well, but Scott, Elon
zero.
Musk
The answer is zero. Every president appoints people to do things for them. To call him unelected is like the most naive and ridiculous talking point I've ever heard.
Scott, I can't believe you would believe something like this, because if this was Joe Biden allowing for a billionaire...
I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Scott Jennings makes a valid point here. There have always been unelected officials, and they will always continue to exist. So what's the real issue here? It seems that most Americans aren't too concerned about it.
Politics of this are quite good. 72% of Americans want an agency dedicated to efficiency. 60% say DOGE is helping. 69% support cutting $1 trillion from the federal budget, and 70% believe there is waste, fraud, and inefficiency in the government. So this is an issue that people know is a problem, and they, I think, are giving Trump some political leash to go out and solve it.
The reason why I wanted to do this interview is to explain one thing to your viewers. The overall objectives and the goals and the general policies behind what's been happening is approved of. But the language and the communication, the messaging is over the top. And the public understands that these are real people with real families and real concerns. They're not seeking chaos. They're seeking an orderly change of the way things are. The Democrats are wrong by talking about resistance, because the public doesn't want resistance.
On this channel, I strive to provide a comprehensive view, so feel free to share your comments down below. It's clear that while some Republicans support Donald Trump and Dogecoin, they don't necessarily agree with his severity of actions being taken or the apparent disregard for those losing their jobs. I'm curious if you're noticing a shift in sentiment among Republicans as well. Let me know in the comments.
You understand the scale of the threat, and you have ideas about how to interrupt what feels like something that we have not experienced since the Civil War in terms of the threat to our republic.
As you can see, there's a significant divide, and it appears that many Americans are still rallying behind Trump regardless of personal opinions about him. Comparisons to the Civil War are being thrown around, but statistically, most Americans likely don't see this as a valid comparison. Now let's acknowledge that both Elon Musk and Donald Trump have made mistakes. The real question is, are these mistakes serious enough to warrant halting their progress, or should we expect some level of error?
Goes in and fires people, terminates programs, causes immense harm to people who have been working for years for this country, patriotic Americans, and to the Americans who receive these services. And then he says, oh, whoops, I made a mistake. That's completely unacceptable and should be unacceptable to anyone who loves this country.
And yet, Kevin, you've got a full tooth grin. Why?
Because my cohort's full of crap. He has no executional mandate. He can't do anything he just said. He is just simply observing, pointing out, and letting the American people know what he's found. And if you don't like it, okay, that's all right. But he does not have the ability to do what Congress has, to execute on his recommendation.
They have more work to do, and one of the things I actually think they could do is, over time, collect all their results, all their findings, all the things that they've uncovered, and actually go up to Congress and work with Congress on a hearing where they could maybe make a presentation to the people's representatives. I think that would be good practice and good politics.
And they might actually have to do that legally, because they can't just cut things without Congress.
I think that would be fine.
This guy is just pointing out what every American wants to know. If you're making $68,000 sitting at your kitchen, which is the average American, watching this kind of waste, you're pissed. You're really pissed.
I wanted to highlight the contrasting conversation of viewpoints. On one side, you have Scott Jennings suggests a formal dialogue between Congress and Dogecoin to find common ground. On the other, Kevin O'Leary represents many Americans who are frustrated with how our tax dollars are being spent on initiatives that we never anticipated. Recent stats with unofficial polls show support for Trump's administration. Andrew Yang, who you might remember from his presidential run back in 2021, noted that 77% of respondents from 302,000, think about that, 302,000 votes feel positively about Trump. Now, I strive to keep my opinions impartial, allowing the clips to represent the facts.
Better than 50% approval rating.
And
I have
you see
seen the
how
polling.
unpopular Elon Musk is, how unpopular Doge is,
So-
and beyond
so the-
that, and beyond that, there is a real concern about the kinds of
You know what I love
funding that's
about you,
being
Lulu,
cut.
is that you get to say what you want to say, and then you got to say what you think I ought to say. Why don't you just let me finish my point here? The point, Wolf, is this. The American people asked for a different direction, and what they did not ask for was a continuation of the status.
So, Scott, is the Trump administration at risk of overstepping with these efforts?
Well, I don't think they're at risk of overstepping with the American people. I think part of the election result was the American people actually asking for a sledgehammer to the federal government. I mean, trusted government was low, dissatisfaction with the government was low, dissatisfaction with the previous administration was low, and dissatisfaction was high with politicians who for years have said, I'm going to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, and never seem to do it. So I like Representative Maliatokas, but with all due respect, I don't think the voters are wanting a scalpel. I do think they're wanting larger implements.
If you're rejecting the statistical evidence showing that a majority of Americans back Trump, I'm not sure what else to say. Discussions are happening, especially among figures like Elizabeth Warren, about the legality and morality of current actions. But it seems Trump's administration always continues to prevail in legal matters, which doesn't reflect well for the Democrats.
What Elon Musk is doing, in my view, is plainly illegal. He's trying to take the legs out from under, with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Congress passes the laws. We have an agency. The agency has obligations, legal obligations that it has to meet. Under the Constitution, it is the responsibility of the administration to administer those laws. And if they fail to do that or do it inappropriately, it is the responsibility of the courts to make them do it.
An idea for them? Why don't they cut the $15 billion that Musk has received in federal funding? I mean, if
what would
he
you like
cares,
to cut specifically?
I would.
Him rescuing our astronauts, giving internet to Ukraine?
No. No. He's not rescuing our.
Hold on. So Elon's programs are fine, but everybody else's programs.
No, she said she wants to cut him out of the government. He does a lot of important things. I'm just asking what you want to get rid of. We need a space program, I think.
We're not talking about a space program. I'm talking about how Elon Musk, the wealthiest person in the world, is in the federal government making decisions about grants and about funding whenever he benefits from those things. He has people in a number of government agencies, yes, it is true, including the FBI, in order to find ways to gain grants and to make more money. And are you okay with that? Is that something you're okay with? You're for cutting. You're for cutting, but you're not for cutting Musk.
I think you're full of it. B,
I'm not full of it. I have sources at the FBI.
He provides all sorts of services to the government.
Just a second.
It's fair to question whether the world's richest man is trying to curry favor in the United States for profit. However, it is important to clarify that he's not deriving any income from Dogecoin initiative. As Scott Jennings pointed out, Musk's revenue primarily comes from his businesses like SpaceX programs, Tesla, which we all benefit from, as well as international projects to provide value globally. Now, I'd love to hear your guys' perspective on this debate. This is the current state of America, and I appreciate all you being here and watching. Thank you for your support, and don't forget, there's still more to unpack. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you next time.